My interview with Henrik Fisker, my very honest interview with Henrik Fisker, is coming up next.
Taking over the world, electrifying the world, E4 Electric!
Welcome to E4 Electric, your number one source of unbiased electric car news. If this is your first time here, not to worry, all you have to do is smash that subscribe button so you don't miss anything moving forward, but most importantly, become a part of this community. Now, I have interviewed Henrik Fisker a couple of times before, and I've always asked him honest questions, and he did not shy away from honest answers, and this time is no different. I have asked him once again questions that came up as I've been seeing the feedback from the community, as I've been reporting on his progress for the eMotion, the new SUV, the solid state batteries, and so forth. And I have to say, I am a little bit baffled by what kind of feedback I've been seeing about him. And a lot of people seem to have some sort of beef with him on one level or the other, and I've asked him flat out about this. I've asked him about all of this negative attention, and you will see what he said in his answer to me. And of course, we talked about the everything else that's going on with Fisker brand right now, and he made an interesting announcements as well. So stay tuned for that. But you guys know my stand on this. To me, I am on the side of anything and anyone who is moving us as the electric car community forward, right? So, and even if you don't believe a single word that he says, that whether this car is coming in production or solid state batteries are coming in production or anything, you have to still appreciate the fact that he is out there talking about it. He was just on Fox Business, and they did not ask him tough questions, I don't think. The fact that he's out there showing this amazing car, you gotta agree, no matter what you think of this is one of the best cars designs you've ever seen. I personally think it's stunning on pictures. It's stunning in person. I have seen it twice now from all kinds of angles and lighting. If he's out there with this car, out there promoting the electric cars, promoting how beautiful they can be and fast they can be and all of that stuff, even if that never, let's say, just never comes to reality, he is still helping all of us to move forward. And speaking about solid state batteries, if his statements, and a lot of people think they're outrageous statements, and I did ask him about this as well in my interview with him, if his outrageous statements are making all of these other battery makers and Tesla and Kia and everybody else who's working it, if it's making them get to the solid state batteries faster, just a little bit faster, to me, it's a win. So again, and I just don't quite understand. There's just one more thing before I get to the interview. If you want to get on someone's butt about making an outrageous statement that has not been backed up with anything in practicality or reality, you might want to get on this guy. And I've given him a hard time for many other things and praised him for many other things, but there's one thing that if you guys want to get on the righteous horse, I think this is something that you should be concerned about more than a solid state battery technology or car they may or may not make into the production or being delayed or promised and not delivered. So this is just wanted to set the context for it because I've been pretty tough on him in my interview that's coming up next, but I also want to be a little bit tough on you as well, making the comments that exactly I'm not really sure helping is effective. No, I am pretty sure not helping the bigger goal, and because that's what this channel is all about. It's not about particular brand, it's about moving all of us forward. Now, before I get to the interview, of course, there's only one thing left to do, and let you know that this video and this channel is sponsored by Accelerate Auto, the extended warranty for all electric cars, including the Tesla Model 3, the third-party solution that you guys been asking, and it's now here, up to 125,000 mile coverage, only $100 deductibles. And for you guys, my audience, if you go to the description of this video, you will find yourself a discount code for $100 off when you're signing up with them. And then depending on which state you guys are in, figure out which link to click to apply for this and get your quote. All right, well, without further ado, this is my conversation with Henrik Fisker down in SoCal a couple of days ago. Here we go. All right, well, thanks once again for joining. Actually, I'm joining you here at New Garage here in Los Angeles with this little beauty over here.
We haven't spoken in a few months, and a few things have changed. And one of them is that you guys announced a new SUV, which is kind of a hot thing right now, with some pretty cool specs. Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, obviously, it's not like we just thought about that yesterday. We have worked on that since last year. And we have quite a unique business model for this vehicle. Obviously, it's not an easy task to not only launch a new electric vehicle, but also an affordable electric vehicle under $40,000. So part of the business model is we are actually sharing a lot of supply chain with another OEM, which means we can lower the cost of a lot of the components. And I think we're sharing the philosophy with that other OEM as well in terms of getting electrification out in the market in high volume. So high volume is definitely an important part of being able to achieve this price. So I'm very excited about it. We've already started the design engineering. The design is pretty much done. So we could probably have shown a little more of the vehicle, but we just wanted to tease it rather with a sketch than actually a model.
We wanted to see more. I have to say, when I did a video, I was like, where's the rest of the beautiful pictures?
Well, we also got to keep a little bit away from our competitors. You know, we don't want to show everything, but we will show a fully driving prototype in the end of the year, which also shows you how far we are in this program, and probably about that time we'll start taking some deposits too.
Okay. Now, we're also standing next to the Emotion, and we've talked a lot about it, and I think the first time I saw it at your unveiling at CES last year. Is the SUV actually going to be in production before Emotion, or this is still going to come out first and then the SUV? What's the plan there?
So the Emotion development was actually running in parallel with the SUV, but the Emotion, we really had to make a very significant business decision. Were we going to launch it with the existing battery technology, or were we going to launch it with solid-state battery technology? So originally, we said we launch it first with the existing technology, and then we'll phase in solid-state battery technology. But we're actually doing quite well with our testing and development of the solid-state. So we thought instead of launching the Emotion with existing technology and then very quickly after having to switch technology, we would rather wait and just launch it with a solid-state battery technology. Now, we don't have a 100% firm date, but what I can say is we are starting already now. We are building cells in our lab, and then we are actually sending them out for some testing with some partners this year, not in automobiles, but we are planning to build a small pilot line beginning of next year, and then put it in for in-vehicle testing next year. And then we'll see how quickly we can actually release it for at least a low-volume production, because low-volume production is the right way first with a new technology. We can get it faster into production. Get it into a high-volume production, you need it so much ahead of time that it's more difficult and it takes longer. So my aim is really to get it out in the market sooner than later.
So this still goes first and then the SUV, is that
We haven't
right?
decided it yet because we don't know exactly when the solid-state battery is ready, because we do have a lot more testing to do, and we haven't finalized the testing. It's still going to go in and be tested in a vehicle, and we don't know if we're going to get some surprises, so I don't want to sort of predict right now, but all I can say is the plan is testing in test vehicles next year.
Now, you know, a lot of people are saying, like, solid-state batteries. He is claiming that they're, you know, just about around the corner, but there's so many startups and, you know, the legacy manufacturers are trying to get it done and they're nowhere close. Tell me, how is it you're able to be so far ahead of everybody? And you know, this is not like for the phone. This is like for a car. Tell me what made you so confident that you can beat everybody to the market and put them into this car?
Well, I think we have taken a different approach. First of all, there is nobody out there that has spent the last 20 years developing, you know, solid-state batteries, except for probably a couple of people that are with us. One of them is the founder of Sakti 3, which was a solid-state battery company. So he spent a lot of time on that. Secondly, you know, I started working on electric cars back in 2007. So I have quite a few years, probably more than even some of the established car makers that only joined this lately. So I think everybody's starting fairly evenly. On the solid-state batteries itself, we took a very serious decision a couple of years ago when we started to really commit to development. And there's a difference between doing a little bit of research and then spending a significant amount of your budget on development of batteries. And we have done that. So for instance, what we have done is we have actually built an in-house lab where we now are up and building 20 solid-state battery cells every week for testing, where we're modifying the chemistry, etc. So I think that's one of the reasons that we might be ahead. The other is we have simply filed about 15 patents on this technology. We have actually tested it out, and right now we are building cells with 400 watt-hours per kilo. And if that doesn't tell you much, I can tell you that probably right now the best lithium-ion batteries have around 235, 245 watt-hours per kilo, what's in production. So it's almost twice. We believe we can get close to 500 watt-hour per kilo. So there's some fine-tuning to be done, and it also depends on the cycle life, meaning how long they last. We have run quite a lot of cycles already on them. So we are very confident. Now, we don't need to prove that to anybody until we are ready. We don't need to give it away to the competition. We're not planning to become a battery manufacturer and commoditize these batteries. We have important investors at Fisker like Caterpillar and some other investors that we will share this technology with, and we actually want to keep this as a competitive advantage. And we think that's going to be an important competitive advantage in this chase of electrification, and who's going to be the winners and who can come out with something unique.
Now let's talk about the production, right? A lot of people are downing, you for saying, well, they don't even have a factory. When are they going to make the cars? What is the plan right now? Well, actually, let's talk about this. Why am I, every time I make a video about you and your car, I'm excited about it, and then I look at the comments and people are being pretty negative a lot of times, where the same kind of people who give a pass maybe to other companies. Now, listen, I'm the guy, my audience knows that I'm rooting for everybody who's doing something in electric, in the electric industry, right? I'd rather root for Fisker than root for Toyota or GM that are not doing much. Why am I hearing so much negativity? Where is it coming from?
Look, I think you have a lot of probably angry and bored keyboard warriors sitting at home, maybe frustrated, they haven't done much in their life. I don't know. It's quite a big task to do a car company. I've done it once before. I came out, a year before the Model S with a vehicle, which in hindsight probably was almost too early. Our battery company went bankrupt on us, and that was obviously extremely difficult. I've taken a lot of the lessons learned. I'm come back with a company, brought a lot of good people together, taking all these lessons learned. I don't necessarily need to prove anything to these angry people at home that are negative. It doesn't really bother me. You're always going to have that. You have, sports teams where people root for one, they don't root for the other. That's something you're going to have to live with. I'm here to see what I can contribute to this world, what I'm best at. And we have an incredible team. I still believe that when we brought out the Fisker Karma in 2011, there was 500 amazing engineers here in America that put this vehicle together in record time, and we had a lot of unfortunate events, but we have a lot of great fans driving these cars. They're sending me emails every week how they love the car, and it gave us sort of that springboard to build up and understand what we have to do to really get into the next wave of electrification. In terms of factory, we are right now, we actually out looking for a factory, but having a factory is not quite enough. You need to have a complete business plan. You need to be in the development with the vehicle, which we are. We obviously started to develop this vehicle last year. It's not like we showed a sketch and now we're starting. In terms of the factory, we have already been out and sourced all the components we need in this factory. We're looking at existing buildings. We're talking to 8 different states about it, and we hope definitely to close a deal on this factory within the coming month. So it has to be fairly soon. And we have already located a couple that is potential sites. So it's not building from ground up, but actually a building with infrastructure, electricity, everything else that's needed. But I can't explain why, why people aren't just positive and going out and trying to contribute something to our world. I admire people who go out up against the odds. Not everybody does. People like to bet on the safe bet. And hey, if that's what you want to do, then go and do that.
Well, maybe it doesn't bother you. It bothers me because, again, like I said, and like my viewers know, I am all for moving the entire electric car technology and revolution forward, and every single person and a company that contributes is pushing everybody forward rather than keeping us, and a lot of people want to keep us. Do you think it's maybe people Why do you think it's maybe people not wanting to give other people like yourself? And I already told you in our first interview, I had a first YouTube channel that didn't do very well. This is my second one, right? What is it with people not giving second chance to somebody who is trying to actually do something?
Well, I think, I wouldn't, those loud screamers and keyboard warriors on the internet, I wouldn't necessarily count them in as a majority. They're a minority, and we see it daily on the bullying that's going on social media is one of the negative effects. But you can't let yourself take yourself down on that. I would say to every person out there, young and old, that try to innovate and somebody tell them that it's not possible, defy the naysayers, don't give up, don't listen to those negative moaners, I would call them. In the end of the day, I think there's a lot more positive people in this world. There's a lot more people who want to do something amazing, something good. And one of the exciting things I think about just being part of electrification generally, whether it's developing new batteries or trying to develop new batteries, whatever it might be, is that eventually we are trying, in my opinion, to do two things. Taking the automobile that we love. I love cars. I've loved cars since I was 2 years old, since I can remember. And I could not imagine a world without cars. But there's a fact that the cars are polluting, and they're a problem for us, specifically in the big cities with all the pollution. So if we can contribute to actually bring clean, cool cars to the market, that's already an amazing thing. Whatever volume you do it, whatever your contribution are, I got some fantastic people working at our place that even came from, whether normal car companies, other industries, and they just want to be part of this revolution. And I think it is a revolution. I think, honestly, there's a silent majority out there that want to be part of this. There is every day new people who jump on this sort of electric wave and are buying an electric car. And it doesn't matter from which company they're buying it. They're part of it. They're part of this movement. And yeah, it's very risky. You can't explain everything. It's difficult. And hey, I might not be able to show you all the cars today, and maybe I don't want to because I don't want to show it to the competitors. And whether you believe in me or not, it doesn't really matter. I'm trying to do my best together with the team that's behind us.
Well, let me ask you about the just electric market in general. I don't know how about you. I am a little bit baffled by how slowly people are adapting and starting to really warm up to electric cars, despite a lot of electric cars being, and not just Tesla, many other ones that are coming out, is just being better than gas cars and having all this amazing technology of self-driving and so forth. What do you think is still missing? Why are people still having a hard time, buying into this concept?
Well, I think there's several aspects. First of all, I still don't believe you truly have the choice of every vehicle in every category. So, for instance, if you think about a muscular, real-looking SUV or a real SUV for under 40,000, one of the reasons we went into the segment because there really isn't one available electric. Maybe there will be one when we come out with ours, and hey, that's going to be another competitor, and that's great. We're not afraid of that. But if you look at all the segments you have in gasoline cars, there's still many cars, segments where you don't have a good electric vehicle that's available. So I think choice for the consumer is one thing, because it's kind of been, you had to buy a $100,000 sedan or you had to buy a hatchback. There was really not much between. It's starting to spread out. The second part is that we still need more charging infrastructure. And I think that is on the way as well. There's a lot of independent groups out there doing a lot of things. And then I think the third part has been the range with the batteries. And I think now we're finally getting with the current technology where it's possible for most car makers, if they're efficient enough with a battery, to get ranges of between 250 to 300 miles. And I think that's an acceptable range for a lot of people. So I think once people start getting comfortable with that and understanding that's enough, you will see more people. So I think 2021 to 2023, that's the timing when we're going to see a lot of new electric vehicles come to market. And I think that's the time when you're going to see a big rise in purchasing of electric vehicles, because there's going to simply be more exciting vehicles to purchase. And there's room for a lot more electric vehicles on the market. We can't just have a choice of 3 different vehicles. We need to have the same choices we have with gasoline cars.
You're making me want to start my own electric car company now. That just inspired. Okay. So you mentioned charging, by the way. What are your plans? I don't think I asked you last time. Are you thinking maybe being compliant with CCS standards now that Electrify America and Ionity in Europe and even Tesla is moving to CCS in Europe? Or what's your plan there?
Yeah, we'll be CCS, and I think we want to have definitely the most standardized plug. We also will be offering inductive charging. I think that's a great way for people who have their own garage. One of the advantages generally with an electric car is if you have your own garage, you know, for most of your daily commutes and your daily driving, you're never really going to need to go somewhere else to charge your vehicle. I mean, I live in LA. I drive, 25 miles to work or something around that. And I drive my Fisker Karma, and I drive an electric, and I always charge it at home. I don't remember the last time I went to some other charger somewhere. So most people can do a lot of the daily driving just by charging at home. And I think that's really the convenience factor and the great thing about having an electric car. Of course, on a long trip, we want to have that infrastructure, but I think it's slowly being built up by Electrify America, by ChargePoint, a lot of other companies out there doing it.
Do you have approximately an idea of what kilowatt rate would you have for this car? Or is it going to depend on the battery, whether it's going to be a lithium ion or a solid state?
No, I mean for the today's lithium ion, we are using all the compatible chargers that are available, and we are not going to be much different than anybody else because that is the state of the art technology. For the solid state battery technology, we could actually use even bigger or better chargers that are available. So we are talking to a few of, the companies that actually make chargers to see what is in the pipeline in the future and can we help them. So specifically, we are talking to one group that is making chargers and seeing if with our solid state technology, they're able to make some chargers that can give us even more charge faster. But already with the solid state battery technology, because you have less resistance, you also charge the battery slightly faster. So we're looking at being able to charge with the current best chargers at least 100 miles in 5 minutes, so the 100 miles equivalent. We would like to get to 200 miles, but then we might need some even better chargers in the future.
Okay, so last question: where do you want to see Fisker by the end of this year, or maybe by the end of next year? What is the plan? What can we expect in the next 12 months or so?
Well, as I already mentioned, we're going to show our drivable prototype end of this year, and that will be really the production vehicle because we're pretty far in the development of that. And we will also at that point have our factory, obviously, and already started to equip that. So that's really what's going on for us this year. Next year is when we would start some pre-production in the factory in the second half of next year. And then, of course, 2021 in second half is when we really would do the startup production and sales as well, and we would start building up already probably end of next year. We'll start building up a few experience centers where we can obviously showcase the vehicle. We will be selling online our vehicles, selling direct, and then we are looking at a different type of service model, a service franchise model. We have talked to a couple of the big service groups. We have talked to some independent service centers to create a service franchise model where we create a training system for repairing electric vehicles generally, because one of the things we have talked to a lot of the sort of smaller service, independent service centers or service chains about is that they're not very well equipped to service electric vehicle out of warranty. So we think there's a good market there, and if we can create a training program for that, we have the ability to have a lot more service available for us. And I think that's really one of the critical things for the new car companies, that as we ramp up, you want to still offer a broad service network, but it's very difficult if you own your own service network because you don't want to have all these service technicians sitting waiting for a car to come in for service. So we feel a better way is by this franchise service model, we can have more service centers. So we are working on the whole service side as well.
All right, just like I said, most of these questions have been pretty much crowdsourced by the feedback that I've been seeing in the comments of my videos and other articles and videos that I've seen about him. And you gotta, if anything, you gotta give him props for actually answering those questions head on. I wish I could ask these questions of a lot of other CEOs and public figures in this space, including Elon Musk. So I would encourage you guys, if anything, to give him your support, because he has been one of many voices and he's got the name recognition, right, and a beautiful concept car to go out there and represent the movement. And again, if he goes on Fox Business and people see what electric cars can do and see this beautiful concept and they go like, hey, I should probably think about getting an electric car, his job there is already done, regardless of what happens with his brand. So, all right, I am looking forward to your comments, and I hope they're going to be more sensible. But nevertheless, I'll read them and hopefully have time to reply. And of course, I will see you guys next time. And remember to stay charged.